I have an amazing fantasy book series for you that's been severely underhyped and underrated, and I'm going to tell you all about it, why I love it, why I think you should read it, and at the end I'm going to show off my special editions because I'm slightly obsessed. Hi, and welcome to Fantastical Reads. I'm Andrea, and I'm making my way through the most recommended and beloved fantasy books and series, as well as discovering, reading, and recommending those that are hidden gems, the underhyped fantasy books out there. So, this is an urban fantasy series that has everything I love about a good fantasy series. It's got very innovative magic system, really great world building, a cast of characters that you really love, action, humor, and my most favorite of all things, the found family trope. This series is called the Tarot Sequence Series by K.D. Edwards, with the first book being The Last Son. There are 3 books released so far of a planned 9-book series. Hopefully the next book coming out early 2024, and I know an unfinished series isn't everyone's cup of tea, but when I tell you that you will fall in love with this series because of how beautifully it's written, the fact that it's unfinished won't bother you as much. So let me tell you a little bit about the Tarot Sequence Series and The Last Son. This world, Atlantis, is real. Or at least it was. And it lay hidden from human eyes for a very long time until it wasn't anymore. And then there was a big war, and then there was a peace. And now New Atlantis resides in Nantucket. Yes, you heard me right, Nantucket. So why is it called the Tarot Sequence, Andrea? Well, I have a good answer for that. Atlanteans are actually the inspiration for the tarot cards. Within Atlantis, there were courts, and those courts were the Hierophant, the Hanged Man, the Fool, and so on, including the Sun, which involves our main character, Rune. You see, Rune is the last living heir of the Sun Throne. His dad was the head of the throne, but there was a huge massacre about 20 years ago where Rune and his companion and bodyguard, Brand, were the only living survivors. Due to this, Rune has very little money and is basically working for his mentor, the Tower, who took him in, trained him, and kept him safe all these years. And now he's kind of like a mercenary of sorts, going on missions and keeping the peace and discovering evil in New Atlantis. His latest mission is to find Adam, the Tower's godson, who has been kidnapped. Rune and Brand are now in search of Adam, and along the way they come across an unspeakably horrible force, a mythical foe from legend. This is the plot of the first book, The Last Son. The other 2 books also have their own self-contained plot. However, there is also a plot that is overarching all 3 books and will do so for the rest of the series. And that overarching plot is discovering what happened to the Sun Throne, who was behind the massacre, why were they behind the massacre, and what are they doing now, because obviously they're still up to nefarious things. Let me tell you why I love this series so much, because there are many reasons. First of all, the magic system is something I have never encountered before. It is innovative and it is fresh. Basically, it involves the Atlanteans storing their power in sigils, which are special artifacts that only magic users can use. The richer you are, the more sigils you have. Now, Rune may not have many, but he does put them to great use and stores many important spells that helps him on his adventures. I may not be doing the best job in explaining it because I also don't want to give away many spoilers, but when I tell you that this is new, fresh, innovative, and really entertaining, please believe me, it is worth the read. The world building is also really good. And I know you're thinking, Nantucket, how is that world building? Well, the most powerful Atlanteans can actually transport any ancient building or ancient artifact or anything for that matter into Nantucket, into New Atlantis. And this is done in such a creative way. So as you're learning about New Atlantis and all the special buildings around there, you're learning about their history, how they were moved, and it really becomes embedded in this highly entertaining narrative. Another thing I absolutely love about this book, and is something that I look for in many of the books and series that I read, is its diversity. There is diversity in race, in culture, and in its LGBTQ plus representation. There is no real necessarily romance in this book, but there is a romance subplot, and that involves 2 men. And there are other LGBTQ characters in this, and I just feel like people will read this series and feel seen. It is done with class, and it is done well. The characters in this series are also phenomenal. They have depth and they are well fleshed out, each with their own distinctive voice and personality. Each book has its own adventure and they are so well detailed and intricately written, and you just feel like you are there. Both the world building and these action-packed sequences give you such vivid imagery of what's going on that you feel like you're actually there. I really love K.D. Edwards' writing, and to me, he's one of the best out there. Okay, the last two things I love are the two most important things that I love, and I look for in every book that I read. The first is that this series gives me every single emotion out there and leaves me feeling so much more connected to the characters and to the story as a whole. You will laugh out loud. You will need to grab a Kleenex box because you will be crying. Scratch that. In Canada, Kleenex is no longer available. You will need to grab your box of facial tissues because you will be crying. Most definitely in the third book and quite possibly in the previous two. You will shout in anger. You will raise your fist in triumph. These books just bring forth every emotion, and to me, that's the mark of a great author and a great story. And last, my most favorite of favorite things is the found family trope. Rune attracts people like I attract empty coffee cups. The found family is huge in this, and the love that these characters have for each other, what they will do for each other, how they will die for each other, will leave you feeling like you are part of the family. No one does found family quite like Katie Edwards, and I can honestly say that because I have a few other favorites out there in terms of found family trope books, and this is at the top. This is God tier found family. And the reason I keep saying that this is the best found family trope out there is because these characters know how to annoy each other like real family and found family can, and you will be rolling on the ground laughing with the way they get at each other, particularly Brand the bodyguard. And he's actually more than just a bodyguard, but I'm going to leave that to you to read and find out. Now, I have this series in every way, shape, and form. I have the original books that I have showed you. I have the audio, which is phenomenal. It is narrated by Josh Hurley, and it is done to perfection. I highly recommend it. I have the ebook, and I also ordered from Rainbow Crate Book Box subscription the 3 special editions they have for the books that are already released, and I'm going to show them off now. They actually have 2 covers, but I am showing these covers because I adore them. This is Rune and Brand for The Last Son. The second one is The Hanged Man. I'm not going to tell you anything about it because it will give away spoilers. And The Hourglass Throne, which really looks like Javier Bardem, and I'm not complaining about that. If you're wondering why am I going to read a series that's unfinished, that only has 3 books? Well, fear not, because Katie Edwards actually has short stories on his website, and there is actually going to be a companion novella series involving the teens in the Terror Sequence series, and the first one has been released, and it's a companion novella to the 3rd book, The Hourglass Throne, and it is called The Eidolon. This was also from Rainbow Crate Book Box subscription, and you can see how gorgeous it is, but you can also get it on ebook. So if you want a series with great world building, intricate magic, amazing characters and character growth, the found family, the humor, everything you can imagine in terms of feelings, pick up the Terror Sequence series by Katie Edwards. To me, this is God tier. It is one of my all-time favorite series, along with the Stormlight Archive, Mistborn Era 1. I'm telling you, I cannot recommend this series enough. If you've read it, please let me know in the comments. If you're planning to read it, please come back and talk to me about it because I don't have many people to talk to it about it with. And if you like what you're seeing, please hit that thumbs up sign and subscribe because I'm going to be talking about a lot more hidden gems as well as a lot more of the series that have been recommended by all that I can't wait to get into. Thanks so much for watching and see you next time.